There are only a handful of events in your life that you'll ever remember where you were. For many Americans such as myself, 9/11 was one. For the older generation, I would assume that maybe it was like the assassination of John F. Kennedy. For me, it was the day that my parents died. I hope no one ever has to go through that type of pain that I went through on that snowy January evening. And if you have the unfortunate luck to have that experience or that kind of trauma, then my thoughts are with you. I was close with my parents. My father, a college professor, always told me about the importance of getting good grades and staying in school. My mother, a nurse, always told me to help others in their times of need. They were the perfect role models for me. And the day that they died was just the day that part of me died as well. Their car slid off an embankment in the snow and ice and crashed, killing them both almost instantly. I was at the bar with a few friends and my fiance at the time when I received the phone call from the local police. I was away at college when it happened, and unfortunately, nearly 400 miles away. The news hit me hard like a ton of bricks, and all I could really do was just stare endlessly into the background. The lights were on, but nobody was home, if that makes any sense. After the funeral, my brother Joe and I were going through some of their stuff in their house to get their belongings out so the home could be sold, rented out, or become property to the bank. The familiar smell of the home just reminded me of the better times. Times where I would wake up on Christmas morning to a Nintendo 64 and Pokemon Stadium waiting for me. You know, these good times. Like an episode of Scooby-Doo, Joe and I split up to make the job easier. I would be in charge of the basement and the main floor, while Joe was in charge of the top floor and the attic area. I started on the main floor, mainly because I still had the irritational fear of the basement. When I was younger, I fell down the steps and broke both of my legs and my right wrist in the process. All these years later, it's still implanted in my mind. Hours went by, and after taking a long break to sit down, rest, and just enjoy a cold beer, I opened the door to the basement. As I looked down this narrow flight of stairs, memories of 8-year-old me falling down and breaking my bones flashed before my eyes. I gulped and took it in one step at a time. Once in the basement, the old musty smell became familiar with my nostrils. I looked over toward the single window in the basement, where the framed photo of my mother and father hung below it. There was a time where my father wanted me to make our basement into a lower level family room, but the hanged photo was as far as he got. Under the stairwell, there were a few boxes from the previous years that haven't yet to be unpacked. I pulled up a large wooden chair and began to search through these boxes, hoping I'd find something worth keeping. The first box, there were just holiday decorations. Christmas, Halloween, hell, even Thanksgiving. My mother was very festive, no matter the holiday. I set it off to the side and just pulled the next box closer to me. There was an old white binder, had probably 100 at least Pokemon cards in there, still in the sleeves. I felt like I had just discovered a gold in the form of these little paper cards. I flipped through the pages just smiling ear to ear. For those of you that are just too young or too old to appreciate Pokemon cards, it was the greatest thing for an 8-year-old, especially in the 90s. Hell, I even went to a few tournaments and won a badge. The rest of the boxes were almost uneventful. There were some old pieces of art that Joe and I drew in class, but nothing worth keeping. As I searched through the remaining boxes, I thought for sure that there was nothing at all to keep in these. The last box just had old silverware and plates, half of which were cracked or broken. I pulled out my phone to turn on a flashlight on the search under the stairwell if I missed anything, and that is when I saw this small box. It was a little brown box tucked into the back corner. On my hands and knees, I crawled under the stairwell just to grab the box. The box was covered in dust, seemingly untouched, but it looked like it had been there for at least a decade. As I wiped the dust off, I opened the box to see a set of videotapes, unmarked. Intrigued, I grabbed the Pokemon binder and the other materials that I deemed worthy of keeping, put it in the box of the videotapes, and headed upstairs. Once I exited the darkness of the basement, I embraced the light of the room. I saw Joe just sitting there on the couch, smoking a cigar. "Well, that took you long enough," he said sarcastically. "Where did you get those cigars? You don't even smoke." "Oh, I found them upstairs. They're high-quality stogies, CJ. I think Dad was saving them for some special occasion or something." I couldn't help but feel disgusted that my brother would smoke a cigar that our dad was saving on a special occasion, knowing damn well that less than a week ago he passed away. I sat next to him on the couch and just placed the box on the coffee table in front. "Why in the fuck would you put that dusty-ass box on the good table?" Good question, but I just smirked and shrugged it off. "Look, dude, my old Pokemon binder. I bet some of these cards are worth a good penny, especially since they look in pretty good condition. Yeah, you probably could just sell them all and make a good 5-cent profit from all the money that Mom and Dad wasted on those things. Good investment." I set the binder by my side and pulled out the first videotape that I saw. "Check these out. Want to watch some of these home videos and maybe laugh at how fucking cringy we were?" I said, waving the videotape in front of my brother. "Yeah, let's pop those into this VCR player. Oh, wait a minute. It's 2017. No one uses those anymore." He had a point, but I knew something that he didn't. The secret compartment I made when I was younger in the room upstairs. I hopped up and ran up the stairs into the old room. It was empty, but I knew what I was looking for. On the floor in the closet, I made a makeshift compartment to hide, well, adult-themed movies and magazines. In the compartment was an old VHS player that I would hook up to my TV when no one else was home and watch said movies. I ran downstairs with the VHS player in my hand with a giant grin on my face. "Thank God I was a smart little pervert," I said, holding the VHS player above my head. "Oh look, you found a VHS. But please, tell me how that ancient thing is going to plug into this new TV. Are you going to science the shit out of this stuff too?" Again, another good point, but I knew better. "When you were searching upstairs, did you happen to find an old television?" "Yeah, but all I need to know." I told him to follow me upstairs while I went to the attic to find the old TV. I brought the television back downstairs and plugged it in, along with the VHS player. "Alright, want to take some bets on this first video? I'm gonna guess maybe your 10th birthday where you were at the party where you pissed your pants from the clown." "Shut the fuck up, man. I guess old wounds never heal." I popped that first tape in and walked backwards, making sure that it was loading up. The all too familiar blue screen appeared shortly before the video started up. I took a seat on the couch next to Joe, where we watched this video begin to play. It was grainy and dark, but we could make out some type of movement from the side. "What the fuck is this? Some kind of backwards-ass snuff film?" Joe said with a mocking tone. The darkness soon disappeared as the light kicked on without warning. There we saw male and female in white coats and white masks covering their face. In the middle of the room there was a lifeless body of a young boy, laying on his back with a black tarp over his body. We saw the feet and arms dangling off the side. "Okay, what the fuck?" Joe said, leaning forward. Turn this shit off, dude. This is some kind of illegal shit." I was a bit confused what I was watching. I gulped and continued watching, despite Joe's plea to turn it off. There was no sound to the video, just the video itself. The two white-dressed individuals nodded as the third individual came out of the background. It had to be at least 7 feet tall. It was lanky and looked as it hadn't eaten in quite some time. Its arms were very long, almost touching the ground. Its neck was elongated as well, but its head was very small, almost comically small. It did not look human at all. The creature began slowly surrounding the lifeless body of this boy before he placed one of its long legs onto the bed where the boy was lying. It had only 3 toes, from what we could see, but that could just be bad quality of the video, right? Joe and I watched in horror as this creature surrounded the child, but the real horror happened after it mounted the child and began to drag its tongue across the boy's cheek. The tongue was a purple color, very long and very skinny, almost like a serpent. "Turn this shit off, TJ," Joe screamed. I didn't listen. I was almost in a trance. I had no idea what I was watching, but whatever that creature was, it wasn't human, nor anything I've ever seen before. The creature drug its tongue down the face and down the neck before placing its hands on the child's face. The creature was in a squatting position above this child, but its arms and legs were so long, it looked like he was just standing. Joe got up without hesitation and turned the television off before we saw what happened next. "Dude, I fucking told you to turn this shit off. Whatever this is, it is illegal. We need to show the fucking cops. Where did mom and dad get this shit? And why do they have it?" That's the $64,000 question, isn't it? Joe, we have to watch these before we give these to the authorities. What if there's some homemade horror film or something? We have to watch and make sure it's not real and not something made up. Or else these authorities are just gonna laugh at us for being scared by some work of fiction. Reluctantly, Joe sat down and agreed. As we turned the television back on, I rewound back to the part where we last left off, which was the creature squatting over this lifeless child with its hands on the child's head. The creature dragged its fingers across the cheek of this child, and its nail was so sharp that it left visible cuts across this child's face. That is when my eyes widened, and I looked at Joe. "Joe, what? Your scar." Joe's eyes widened. The cut across the child's left cheek was very similar to the scar across Joe's that apparently happened after he fell off of his bike at a young age. He never remembered it. But that's what we were told. What the fuck? Maybe it's just a coincidence, but things were starting to add up. This creature grabbed the leg of the child and began to drag its tongue up and down this left leg, as if it was enjoying the taste and smell of a child. I gulped as I jumped up and paused this tape. "Joe, look in the background of this. What do you see?" "I don't see shit, dude. It's so old and grainy." "Look in the background by the window. Then look under. What does that look like?" Joe leaned closer into the television and squinted to get a better view. "Shit, it looks like a picture or something." I gulped in fear and remembered the picture hanging below the window in our basement. The basement directly below our feet. I hit play against my better judgment, mind you, and sat back down. The creature continued to drag its tongue across this leg of this young child before hopping down from the bed. It stood straight up and out its arms to its side. Its knuckles touched the ground, and it was so tall that its head was out of view of the camera. The man and woman dressed in white nodded their heads as the creature bolted out of the camera view. The man in white proceeded to walk towards the camera and turned it off, and the screen turned static. What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck was that, TJ? What the fuck? I tried to calm Joe down, but hell, even I was perplexed. I looked down into this box and realized there were multiple videos. But I did not want to look at these. I did not want to see what happens next. I popped the first video out and put it to the side as I sat down on the couch next to Joe, who looked as if he had just seen a ghost. There's 3 more videos, Joe. But Jesus Christ, I'm afraid of what they show. He hung his head into his hands and began to stomp his feet in disbelief as we sat in silence on the couch. Our attentions had turned somewhere else. We heard a noise that was similar to something dragging across the floor. It was coming from the basement. Thanks for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did and you would like to see more creepypastas and stuff like this on the channel, make sure to let me know down in the comment section. I kind of like being able to swap it up between the true stories and stuff like this, but I would gladly do more creepypastas like this. I like this a lot, and I hope that you do. So make sure to like, comment, and if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. We're doing nothing but growing. I've got a lot of content, a lot more coming. So also make sure to check out the links in the description as well, like Twitter, Instagram, everything like that. And the channel members and the Gmail, stuff like that, yada yada. But with that being said, stay safe, stay scary, and I'll see you in the next one.